kind of feel like we're going to start a word of the day trend. Trending in the AM, word of the day trend. Today's word of the day, it's rejuvenated. The Eagles seem rejuvenated, and with a bye can get even more rejuvenated. The Sixers, through 3 games, are rejuvenating the fan base. Sean Barnard joins us at 8:30, trending in the AM, talking Eagles and Sixers and who knows what else. We're live taking your thoughts and opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter. You know the drill every single morning. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and, of course, subscribe to the STT Sports Network. Back down to $7.99 again. We hit 8 yesterday. We lost 1. We're still at $7.99. Hit those 3 buttons, and if you're watching over on Twitter, head over to the YouTube page to hit subscribe, but also to vote on our poll question of the day. YouTube poll question is, have the Sixers done enough through 3 games to let you open your heart one more time to this team? Yes, no, or option C, no, but I'm close. That's your poll question of the day. Obviously, the Sixers with another victory, one of the 4 final teams in the NBA to be undefeated through 3 games. We're going to talk Sixers and how rejuvenated I feel and how they feel. We're going to talk about the rejuvenation of this Eagles team over the last 2 weeks and now with a bye to continue the rejuvenation process. It's a word of the day kind of thing. The great Sean Barnard will be joining us about 8:30 in the morning to talk Sixers, maybe a little bit of the NBA gambling scandals. We'll see what that conversation goes with. So sit back, bring me your opinions, your thoughts. Guys, I'm Phil Stiefel again. Those buttons, you got to hit them, guys. So let's get just right to some comments right away here. Good morning, Little G. How you doing today? There's nobody's butts to kick this week. Adam says, good morning. I saw Big Dom drop pizza and cheesesteaks for Scadaboo and company at the hospital. Yeah, I mean, for as bad as we are people, I mean, we're taking cheesesteaks and pizza to injured opponents because Philly is such a bad city. Good morning, Robert. How you doing? Good to see you yesterday at the pizza shop. Good morning, Duck. Sixers would have to win it all to get me back because of the BS from last season. Look, I get the frustration. I looked last night, or yesterday afternoon, last night's game, despite them being 2-0 going into the game, knowing in advance that Joel Embiid wasn't playing, but with the fresh VJ Edgecombe and this new vibe, you could still get tickets for $12 at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon to that game. It's pretty sad, but it's also understanding because of the BS. But I watched last night's Sixers game from start to finish. I did not channel surf once. I was barely watching reels on my phone. I literally, that Sixers team and the way they played last night and have played this season, it's a fun brand of basketball to watch. It's a different type of basketball we're seeing. And while I'll always have the battle scars of the process, I'm starting to think that it's okay to pay attention to the Sixers. It's okay to feel differently about this team because I think this is a different team. This isn't the same old song and dance Sixers. It's a completely different vibe. And who would have thought drafting a rookie like VJ Edgecombe would be what did that? Philly give you crap, but we will help just about anyone if they need it. Absolutely. We're no worse than any other. I mean, there's so many other much worse fan bases than Philly. Maxey and Edgecombe are playing great so far. Tyrese Maxey, I was starting to worry about him last year with the injuries. The spark was gone. You give him VJ Edgecombe. And just think about this. It's not like we haven't even had Jarrett McCain out there yet. I mean, these two boys, young men. Well, one young man and one kid. That's what VJ Edgecombe's a kid, really, Adam. Rejuvenating this fan base. Not just the team, but the fan base. You watch those two boys run up and down the court. Hustle. Play defense. Do the little things. And score a lot. It's refreshing to see. Looks like Nick Nurse is rejuvenated. It's a completely different organization. And it's kind of crazy to think that just bringing in VJ Edgecombe and a bunch of really quality role players. I know Barlow didn't play last night. Walker started last night in his place. Watford might be back in the next couple games. We're not relying on Eric Gordon. I know he had a few minutes last night, made some buckets. Kyle Lowry hasn't seen the field yet or court yet. We're going with the youngins. Old Nick Nurse, would he have been running VJ Edgecombe 40 minutes a game? No. There's just a different vibe across the board with this. Even Joel Embiid, when he's not playing, seems rejuvenated. On the court, that's another subject. They didn't Godfather 3 me. They Silvio Dante from the bada bing me, okay? Once I think I was out, they pull me back in. Silvio did a better Godfather than Godfather did in that situation. So whenever I say, once I think I was out, they pull me back in, I'm really referring to the Sopranos. I'm glad Nick Nurse gets a legit shot to coach a healthy, motivated team with legit young players. Look, I won't lie, Dave, and what's up? Hope you're well this morning. I wanted Nick Nurse gone. I did. And they're not even healthy yet. You're missing a potential starting forward in Watford. You're missing Paul George, which we'll get into Paul George and Joel Embiid's roles, when Sean Barnard rejoins us. And you got Jarrett McCain. You're not going to be running, Maxey hasn't played less than 40 minutes yet. And last night's 39 minutes were the least VJ Edgecombe's played through 3 games. You're not going to be able to survive with those two guys playing 40-plus minutes a night. So Jarrett McCain coming back will help alleviate that some. So they're healthy, but they're not even fully healthy yet. This isn't Joel Embiid's team anymore. This is Tyrese Maxey's team. On the pecking order of importance on this team, Joel Embiid's not even in the top 3 of importance. And I give a lot of crap to Nick Nurse last year, and obviously I'm always going to give a lot of hate towards Daryl Morey, but drafting VJ Edgecombe over Ace Bailey early on seems like the right move. He went out and got different type of role players, Barlow, Walker, athletes, guys that can run, guys that are going to play defense, unselfish players. The passing I see from this team, the ball movement I see from this team is totally different. What's up, Steve? How you doing this morning? Sixers got me singing Madonna, open your heart to me, baby. Hold the lock and you'll hold the key. Wow, we're going Madonna reference there. Look, I'm right there with you on it. 100% right there with you on that. You are all crazy. The organization is a toxic relationship. This is the girl you have to take a wait and see because she emptied your wallet and broke your heart. And I understand the delay, Duck, for you wanting to open your heart. All right? I understand why you probably voted no on this poll question of the day. I get it. I understand. I feel it. And I just want to tell you, it's okay. It's okay to open your heart. If you don't take any risks in life, what are you going to do? What's up, AK? Good morning to you. We are talking Eagles, too, because it's the word of the day. Rejuvenated. And while the Sixers are rejuvenated, I kind of feel like the Eagles are rejuvenated as well. They got a couple guys getting healthier. The offense seems to be in flow. The energy seems to be back. There's a couple key things that have happened over the last couple of weeks that rejuvenated the Eagles. One key one, Nakobe Dean's back. What's up, Davey? How you doing? What's up, Tatsuya? Phil, I watched the World Series game, all 18 innings last night. What time did that end at? I knew it went 18 innings. I didn't know till this morning, though. Honestly, I watched the entire Sixers game last night. What time did that game get over last night? Because if you watched all 18 innings, you are a complete and total sociopath. 3 a.m., sociopath, and up this early in the morning. Why go back to the girl that broke your heart when you have nice girl that make you... Well, see, the thing is, this isn't the same girl that broke your heart. Not the same girl. You upgraded the girl. The girl's been upgraded. You don't know. Just a word of warning is the last 3-0 start for the Sixers ended up crashing and burning 19-20 and 13-14. 19-20, that was the year that Ben Simmons passed up the dunk to Matisse Thybulle. Was that year, or was that the year before that? Get that right, because that year still irks me so much. Because if Danny Green does not go down in the first game of that series against the Hawks, I think we still win that series, and we have a different story. I think that's how big Danny Green was. 3 a.m., well, 2:52 to be specific, because Adam's got to get the details. 18 innings is insane. I'm assuming it's the longest, if not the close to the longest, World Series game of all time. The World Series, and this is trending in the AM, World Series is trending. We're talking Sixers, we're talking Eagles, now we're talking World Series. One positive thing I will say about the Phillies' loss to the Dodgers is that they're the only team so far in the playoffs that has been able to shut down Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani's been tearing it up in the NLCS and the World Series. But we shut him down. 1920 was the pandemic year. Okay, got you. I'm off by 1 year. The Ben Simmons back injury year. Got you. Not the same girl. They just happen to wear the same outfit. There you go. I like that reference. I think it's very fair. A very fair reference there. Because this Sixers team is different. The vibe is different. It's like you're dating the twin of your ex-girlfriend. You dated twins. First, you dated the one twin, and she broke your heart. But you know what? It looks the same, but it's a totally different personality. You're dating her twin sister now. Because it does look different. Yeah, Freddie Freeman's a Hall of Fame baseball player in my mind. I don't know if he'll statistically match up, but I think he will. I would think that Freddie Freeman will be in the Hall of Fame one day when he decides to call it a career. He's still playing well enough that he could keep playing if he wanted to, quite frankly. But you know what? It's a shame that the Sixers are playing so well, because otherwise I would be watching the World Series. I guarantee I would not have stayed awake till 3 a.m. to watch a World Series game when it doesn't involve the Phillies. Only the Phillies, I would do that. But back to the Sixers, back to the Eagles. Eagles will go 14-3. You've got the Eagles only losing one more time this year. Whew. That's a tough one, Robert. Tough one. There are a lot of tough games left on the schedule to say only one. But I like it. I still sticking to my 12-5 prediction, though. And definitely back to the Super Bowl. Without being negative, I really liked what I saw Sunday. It was a really good game, but it was against the Giants. Even though, look, and I want to put an extra aspect of it too. I always want to say AK-47. That it was the Giants losing Cam Scatterboo early, devastating wise. It's so deflating. Coming off of a tough loss against the Broncos, a deflating loss. You lose your, young energy player. I said this yesterday. You got to take the Sunday win with a grain of salt, but you could definitely see the rejuvenation with this team. Didn't think you could have a stronger first ballot Hall of Fame case than Mariano Rivera. Freddie Freeman. Do you think I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I don't know if he'll get that 95, 98, 100% vote that he probably deserves. This is a fresh new era of Sixers basketball. Opening your heart don't necessarily mean high expectations. I still have zero expectations. Zero expectations for this Sixers team. I don't care how many games they win. I just want to see fun basketball, which I've now seen 3 times. Energized basketball, fun basketball. That's all I care about. But the parents are the same, and they create the first twin. I thought no one was going back as long as Morey was still GM. And I'm willing to give him some form of credit. Drafting VJ Edgecombe over Ace Bailey early on seems like the right deal. Bringing in a guy like Barlow and Walker and hopefully Watford. Different types of players. Not old and slow players, young and athletic players. Makes a difference. Like I said, great to see the improvements. Now, can it be consistent? And you're going up against some very difficult teams right out of the bye week. The Packers and the Lions. So this rejuvenated Eagles team will have an opportunity to prove it against real competition after the bye week. The longest game in World Series history was between the Red Sox and Dodgers, Game 3, 18 innings. It ended at 4 a.m. So a slightly longer 18-inning game. God damn. Tank season. Look, Tank Bigsby earned himself some more opportunities on Sunday. 100%. He might suck ass as a kick returner, but let me tell you something. He did his job. But see, Tank Bigsby and Saquon Barkley performed the way they did because the offensive line the offensive line was rejuvenated, got back to what they do best. The Sixers will not make the playoffs. And honestly, Robert, I don't care because while I'm opening my heart back to the Sixers emotionally, I still have zero expectations for what they're going to do this year. We're 3 games into an 82-game season. Do you watch F1, like Formula Racing? No, I don't watch any racing. No, don't know anything about it. Don't know what the Packers are going to don't know that the Packers are going to be that huge a problem. Detroit will be a problem even at home. The Packers are a really good football team. I think they get overhyped by the media big time. Not going to say they're an easy team to win, but yeah, look, they're still a playoff football team. Okay, they still got a good quarterback. They still got Micah Parsons, so it is what it is. The league will eventually adjust, I'm sure. No one was game planning for the Sixers this offseason. That said, this team with way more strengths, including the backcourt where needed. Absolutely. And that's why I have no expectations. I'm opening my heart. They're going to hit they're going to come up, then they're going to have a little plateau. They're going to fall back down. Then we'll see the real adjustments and real development of this team. But I'm excited to watch what this will do now, or what this season will be like, and what it'll mean for the future of this team. By the way, Duck, the second part of your thing, Detroit will be a massively tough test on Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, to me, is the bigger game of the week than Monday Night Football normally. Tank was breaking off runs that Shipley wasn't. He is him. Shipley had a good game returning kicks. I think we just had them wrong. Shipley should have been returning kicks, and Tank should have been the running back all along. You can fluster Love. Goff is much harder to get it off his rails. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yep, Washington took that L. This NFC East, despite all our struggles, is being gift wrapped to us. It's been over 20 years since back-to-back East champions. And here we are, 8 weeks into the season. We got a 3-game lead in the division. Not too shabby, Adam. Not too shabby. Guys, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. Sean Barnard will be joining us very shortly here. So make sure you stay tuned for all that he is going to bring to this Sixers conversation. Now McLaurin hurt again. Is he? That's a shame. Good thing he got paid when he did, I guess. Look, we said it all offseason that Washington had some major challenges. One, whether Jaden Daniels would regress or not in his sophomore slump season. We also talked about all the big additions they made were all 30-year-olds and older. They obviously are a team that's past their prime. It's a shame that you got a young quarterback, but yet you can't utilize them. Oldest team in the league. Who's one of the youngest teams in the league? I think that's a rhetorical question. Never knew the Sneaker Pimps sampled their song from Goldfinger. Don't know who the Sneaker Pimps are. Yes, Jaden's hurt. We know that. Eagles will sleep. Well, they're sleeping this week. Sleepwalk into the playoffs. Yes. I mean, just give them their playoff berth right now. 1 year parlay missed it last night. Sixers, Dodgers, Chiefs. Wow. What did that pay out? I will say this. I haven't placed a bet on a single basketball game yet this year. Not one. And I wonder why. And we're going to ask Sean Barnard when he joins us shortly about that. Commie fans can eat. Yeah. Sixers are a massive unknown to this league. It may be a while before it is figured out. McCain's ball handling and off-ball play will make it even tougher to plan for. You know what I've also noticed? You're talking about off-ball play. Tyrese Maxey's playing off the ball with VJ Edgecombe a lot more than I'd expect because VJ Edgecombe is a rookie. They are deferring and letting VJ Edgecombe set up the offense a lot more frequently than you would expect with a rookie. Definitely something that I like to see there. Definitely that's something that's interesting to see. So you got that. And look, they might start to figure out the Sixers team tonight, whatever. But then you're going to throw McCain and Watford and Paul George back into the equation. And they're going to have to figure out a whole new rotation with the Sixers. Commanders, it's over. Yeah, just pack it in. Pack it up, pack it in, let it re-begin. Daniels looked happy as clam on the bench as his team was getting its ass kicked. Not a great look. I watched zero Monday Night Football. Like I said, I put the Sixers game on at the start. I never changed the channel once last night. Last year, I don't even think I watched 48 minutes of Sixers basketball straight. Combined, the whole year. They were so frustrating, so unwatchable. Totally unwatchable. This year, they're completely watchable. I bet 10 brought back 16. Nothing too serious, just for fun. That's a big win. You can afford a coffee with that. Phil, your dogs look like proper Johns, by the way. Thank you. How did that video blow up? But I knew dog videos would blow up, right? Had like 115 likes on that video, over almost 5,000 views. Gained like 7 subscribers from it. But 3 people hit the dislike button on that. What the hell? How can you hit the dislike button on a freaking dog video? Without Barlow and Joe, I didn't think Sixers had a prayer last night. Drummond, EG, really delivered. Yeah, look, Drummond is what he is. I want to see more from a Dembona. I kind of feel like if I have one bone to pick early on, it's a Dembona for sure. Just when Phil was out, they drag him back in. I'm 100% in on enjoying and watching. Again, still, no expectations. That's right. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Hit 800 yesterday. And then we lost one late last night. Kind of got to get those numbers moving on up. Must have been a Cowboys fan. Yes, probably. No rim protector is really an adjustment to watch with this team. They are failing on the defensive end at times, especially on fast breaks. Like they're not getting back quick enough, giving up a lot of backdoor, dunks and layups. So there's definitely room for improvement still. We might be all hyped, but the Sixers games, three games, have not been perfect. Maybe that is literally the worst comment in the world, Adam. Exactly. That's what I thought, K1. It's like having to watch the rest of the NBA, yeah. Phil, what's your take on KP after these last 2 games? Maybe we're a little too early to judge. Hurts low-key MVP. Not low-key. Jalen Hurts is an MVP right now candidate. Goddard having a record season. Smitty, amazing. I got Smitty stats. Thoughts on KP? It was an improvement. I'm going to need to see it against the Packers and the Lions. Getting under center was a huge adjustment. Getting this offense in a flow, huge adjustment for him. But I'm willing to give it time. I am not calling for Kevin Patullo's job anymore, at least at this point. he was never going to get fired anyway. But I'm not calling for them to bring in a consultant at this point. Like, I really think he put the fire out on the questions of his job. Can he maintain it the rest of the year? I don't know. Go figure, once A.J. Brown's not out there, things get a little smoother. I'm not going to go that route. But, it definitely looks better, fresher, and proper right now. I'm very excited to see what this team will look like as Cam Jurgens gets healthy, A.J. Brown gets healthy. I think maybe a light bulb switched in his head. Adam's joke was just so inappropriate. It was so funny. The more inappropriate, the better. All Goddard does is catch touchdowns. Yeah. Look, he wants to get paid. I said it. I feel it took KP a little longer to make offensive adjustments just because of lack of experience, which is where Kellen succeeded. I think that's a fair take. Fair take. Extremely fair take. Hot take is what? I really like Dotson. Love his attitude. Yeah, look. John Dotson, ultimate team player. He's a first-round draft pick. Could play as a starter on any team in the NFL, but he's the third wheel in Philly. And accepts it. He is not going to be an Eagle next year. I almost guarantee it, because he's going to want to be paid big money. Not big money, but bigger money. He's going to want a chance to start. I've suggested that they trade him. They probably won't. They probably shouldn't. But, you're going to lose him. Maybe you get a comp pick for him next year. But, yeah, I love the fact that Jahan Dotson, all elite wide receivers are divas. Jahan Dotson has the talent to become not elite, but upper echelon wide receiver in the NFL, yet shows no diva tendencies, being the third wheel, getting one or two catches every couple of weeks. Jurgens will have to win his job. Stop. Not a chance in the world. Look, Brett Toth performed very well. Very, very well on Sunday against the Giants. All right? That Giants team, that Giants defensive line is one of the best in football. Dexter Lawrence was a ghost. Brian Burns was held in check. They're locked down. Now, Burns was hurt going into the game, but you play, you got to play. You suit up, you got to play. So Brett Toth proved that he showed, he gave thanks for all the confidence Stoutland always has in him by actually performing at a pretty high level on Sunday. That entire offensive line, they were cutting, they were moving around, they were pulling. They looked fresh. Leonard Dickerson looked healthy. I mean, everything looked right from that offensive line. 100%. That's what you like to see. That's what you need to see. You need to get Mosca on your show again. I was texting with him the other day. I got to find time to get him on. I really thought I'd have him on during the NBA gambling scandals because he's such a big anti. He always talks about how bad it is, the advertising dollars that these leagues take. I haven't had a chance. I mean, the dude works a full-time job. A normal, 8 to 5, 9 to 5 job. It's tough. I love that things are looking up again for the Eagles. I love that things are looking up for the Eagles, the Phillies, the Union are still in it. They had a big win. The Flyers are looking up and trending in the right direction. Winter sports is not as bad as it seemed after the Phillies season ended. Guess it's the Birds O-line was finally mobile enough to double team the tackles and move it to the second and third levels. I mean, we talked about it during the game news. What I saw from Landon Dickerson on Sunday, I have not seen from him at all this year. Looks like he might finally be healthy. Also feel like having Dean back allows Bond to go back to his natural position where it was last year. Dean is better in the middle. Look, Nakobe Dean, is it coincidence that once they start playing Nakobe Dean again, the defense looks better? I don't think so. I've been saying since day one that Nakobe Dean was the real deal. No surprise. What's up, Mr. Ridley Scott? If I'm correct, and that's what we're going to do with BG back and Nolan coming back, this defense is going to be fire with whoever else they bring in. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that vibe that that they might not go after an edge rusher now. But if they do, man, that beep, man. When I get a notification in my ear when someone joins the background, I actually just jumped because of the beep. Guys, we're going to take a pause on the comments for a second here. If you haven't liked, share, subscribe. We'll get back to Eagles talk in a minute because joining me now on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, the one, the only, the great Sean Barnard. Good morning, Sean. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Phil. Appreciate you for having me, and a lot better spirits than I think the last time we talked Sixers. So happy to be on.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Look, let's just start with the poll question of the day. Okay, it's a more general thing. The poll question on YouTube today is: have the Sixers done enough through 3 games for you to open your heart one more time? And I'm asking that question because there's also a word of the day: rejuvenated. And I feel rejuvenated watching the Sixers. I'm still putting no expectations on the team as a whole, but I feel rejuvenated. I think it's a fair poll question through 3 days. So how would you answer that poll question?
Yeah, I think the answer is absolutely. That we have 79 more games of basketball to absolutely sort out how good this team truly is, where it does stack up in the East and the NBA as a whole. But the takeaway to me is they have an identity. They are going to compete on every single night basis. This is a team that cares, a team that wants to compete, and that's a team that we should all be able to get behind. Tyrese Maxey has taken another leap and is a blast to watch. VJ Edgecombe is a difference maker as a rookie here. Quentin Grimes can play, and I do believe that we will have more flashes of Joel Embiid than we've seen thus far. There's talent on the Sixers roster. They play hard, they compete, and I think they are a team worth getting excited about.
I think it's absolutely okay to get excited, to enjoy it. I think it's fair. Am I fair in saying not to put expectations, though, on this team, generally speaking? Because we still, someone said before you joined the thing that, it's only 3 games. Teams haven't figured out how to stop this new look Sixers team. There are going to be bumps in the road still this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we're 3 games in the season, so we'll see how it ultimately sorts out. We've seen Joel Embiid play 40 total minutes of basketball. We still have Jared McCain has not returned to the floor yet, which is another guy who's a potential difference maker and a dude that I do believe in as a talent. So there's still a lot of questions for how all these pieces fit together and what this team will ultimately look like. But the thing that I just keep walking away with from these opening 3 games is the team is so resilient, man. They care, they compete. There's a level of athleticism that we have not seen for years on this roster. So it is not perfect, and there will be bumps in the road for sure. But the floor and the level of excitement, I think, is worth buying into right now.
You mentioned a word there, athleticism. And I think, you know me, I am a big crusher of Daryl Morey. I'm always very negative about a guy. But the look of this team and the role players he brought in, the Barlows, the Walkers, drafting VJ Edgecombe over, Ace Bailey. And we haven't seen Watford play yet. So that might be he went younger versus older. He went athletic instead of experience. And I think that that's a big thing that we're latching onto. It's not just the young stud. It's the athleticism that this team brings that matches what the NBA is now.
Yeah, I think Daryl Morey learned from his mistakes a little bit last year. And, of course, there is still Eric Gordon on the roster, Kyle Lowry on the roster. That they're still here.
Kyle Lowry has not seen the court yet, I don't think. So that's a good thing.
That is true. And Eric Gordon coming in, hitting a couple threes last night. And Andre Drummond showed a little bit of life in his step that he did not flash at any point last year. But to your point here, I do think Daryl learned from last season as far as he really prioritized what are the guys that can get you over the edge. But the bottom line is you got to get there to have a chance in the postseason in the first place. And you need these young legs to get through the grind of an 82-game series. So they've leaned in that in a crazy way. I think it's really impressive, the leash that they're showing with guys like VJ Edgecombe, who as of yesterday was 4th in the league in minutes per game or tied with that with Jabari Smith there. That's crazy for a rookie to be clocking that type of workload. Yeah. He's running the offense at a rate, which I did not expect. So there is this youth movement. And I think Daryl deserves credit for all the critique that he will and rightfully get for the Paul George contract, the Joel Embiid contract. You got to give him props on the other side that I don't think you can draft much better than he has during his time in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's never been a question about his drafting. It's always been a question about the other pieces that he puts around the players. And let's just get to the main star right now, and that's VJ Edgecombe, the new young rookie. You mentioned something there. He's controlling the ball a lot. He's bringing the ball up. They're running the offense through him, and those minutes played. Last night was the first game he did not play 40-plus minutes. It was 39 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's great. You love to see it. And when Jarrett McCain comes back, I expect those minutes to come down a touch. But talk about what Nick Nurse has had to change in his coaching philosophy to trust a young rookie like VJ Edgecombe. That just speaks volumes of what VJ Edgecombe is capable of doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think of like a Nick Nurse basketball team, it is switchability on defense. It's
Mhm.
forcing turnovers. It's getting out in transition. And realistically, the Sixers have not done a good enough job of providing those types of players that can do that across his time being the head coach here. VJ Edgecombe checks all those boxes. That
Yeah.
he's everywhere defensively. He wants to get out and run. He's going to be one of the highest level athletes of every single basketball court that he runs on, and he's getting the runway to make that happen right from day one here. So he's definitely, and I love this comment here, the dude is not a rookie between the ears. There's a poise and a fearlessness that you just don't see. And for Edgecombe specifically, like his defining characteristic as a basketball player will likely be that level of athleticism that I think he's going to be one of the best athletes in the league for the duration of his career as long as he stays healthy there. But with those types of players, you typically don't see the level of connectivity and just like basketball feel that he's already showing 3 games into his NBA career. So I could not be more impressed with what we've seen from these first 3 games. I know that a lot of people have penciled Cooper Flag as rookie of the year walking into the season. I think it's a little premature on that. That VJ Edgecombe might have something to say about it.
Is it just me? And I watched some of the, when the 1 or 2 times he played in summer league, I watched those games obviously to see the rookie, and I feel like he's bigger. Like he's put on a little bit of muscle, which takes rookies a little time to do, but he also plays bigger than his size. Like he's a 6'4" guard, but he's out there defending guys much bigger than him. He's hustling, he's blocking shots, he's playing the lanes on defense. Like he's doing things like a 6'6", 6'7", bigger guard or small forward. And I think that's something that's really impressing me, the way he plays bigger than he actually is.
Yeah, he's definitely not afraid to back down to anybody. He picked up Franz Wagner at a pretty regular clip last night, which is a guy who is probably 4 or 5 inches bigger than him. And obviously, Wagner's a good player, that he had his moments there. But the fact that VJ's take on that challenge, to me, is encouraging there. And another thing that I think like is worth seeing on full display here is VJ himself was pretty vocal about like the style of play in college basketball was not quite suited for him, that he needs more spacing, and he really struggled with the way that people sort of packed the paint there and kind of protected things. With the NBA floor spacing that there is, when there are lanes to drive through, he's able to show everything. And I don't think that was the case in even like summer league there. So he's sort of just able to put it all on display in an actual regular season in a way that we have. Like even thinking back to his time at Baylor, my impression of always watching him was this kid doesn't realize how good he is just yet. And it feels like that is clicking in between his ears right now.
We were always spending time the first, during the preseason, the first game, we kept making all these like comparisons, like who is he going to be? Like who's his, comp and everything. I don't know if you know Uriah Young. He hosts a comparison show, and we were talking about that. But now we got new comparisons because we've seen 3 games. Now we got people saying he's like D Rose and D Wade like combo type player. It's crazy how quickly, again, to go to the word of the day, he's rejuvenated the fan base of this organization, not just the team.
Oh, yeah, 100% there. And Anthony Edwards is another name that I'll throw in the mix there. I've seen some of the Jimmy Butler run it back, like that kind of comparison. I think he's a better athlete than Butler by far in that category there. He's pretty special, man. It's ridiculous the things that he's put together in the stretch of 3 games. And again, I'll defer to the amount of trust that they're showing in this dude. Yep. It's pretty impressive. I did not expect from day one for him to have this level of role that he's delivering on. So shout out to the Sixers for giving him the opportunity and for VJ for being ready for that.
So all this talk so far through 8 minutes of you here on the show is about how athletic and how young and how much running and all this stuff, but you still have the Joel Embiid part of this team. He's only played 20 minutes 2 of the 3 games. When he's out there, it looks a little different, a little slower. How did Nick Nurse and how do the Sixers, because Joel Embiid's going to eventually tick up in the minutes, category. He's still, an elite center when healthy. But how do you integrate Joel Embiid once he's hitting 25, 30 minutes a game, playing a little bit more frequently? How do they make sure that doesn't slow down and take the ball out of Maxey and VJ's hands? And can Joel Embiid do that?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a world. It's going to be a work in progress, and there will be some growing pains about it. I think like the takeaway or what's been made clear for the start of the season is the Sixers no longer live and die with Joel Embiid, that they have other ways to play, other ways to win, and that should be looked at as a good thing. But the bottom line with all this hype about Maxey, about VJ Edgecombe, rightfully so on this roster, you still need a dude that when push comes to shove, can be one of the best players in basketball. And for this specific season, Joel Embiid is still the best bet from the Sixers perspective. So I'm sort of comforted by the fact that there is this game plan in place for scaling him up to a proper workload, that it does feel more calculated and direct than any other time in his career. Even like him not playing last night, like I see the critiques of that. It's obviously a back-to-back. To me, it makes a ton of sense that he played Saturday, you rest Sunday, Monday, he plays tonight, and then he has 2 more days of rest and then plays Friday. Like that is a plan that makes sense to me for what is the process here. And as far as like the actual on-court product, I see something really intriguing as far as Embiid starting to grow as like the hub of the offense to an extent. He's not going to be Nikola Jokic, but what I do think can make a lot of sense is running pin downs, where it's Tyrese Maxey flying off screens, VJ Edgecombe running back cuts there, Jared McCain off-ball motion to create three-point looks. Joel's smart enough to be a decision maker within the offense, and there's a lot of talented just playmakers and guys that can score the basketball around him that I think they can capitalize on.
What do you think, like when you're talking about the plan of easing them back in, how long do you think it'll be till they start? Is it going to stay 20 minutes a game, 22 minutes a game for the foreseeable future? Or do you think they will it'll just be a slight increment, 22, 24, 26? Or do you think they're just going to stick to a 20-minute a game plan for 2 weeks? And then 2 weeks later, they'll go up to 25. And what do you think that plan is with him?
Yeah, they've been very tight-lipped about any sort of plan or saying anything. So there's nothing we really have from the Sixers angle here. Just kind of speculating in my predictions with it here. I think that this is going to drag out for kind of an extended period of time, that it's going to be very calculated, that the focus is on the postseason to get Joel Embiid healthy for the playoffs here. And this is a playoff team that we're talking about, that I don't think that was necessarily set in stone when this season started. That's how I feel in a wide open Eastern Conference, that this Sixers team is going to be in the mix here. So I think that they're going to look at the long view from start to finish this year. It probably is going to be more frustrating than people want to be the case, but when you have other options, this team can stay afloat. So to sort of answer your question, even though there isn't really one,
there really is no answer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty strict minutes limit for most of the season here.
Okay. What's the rotation going to be like then? I mean, obviously through 3 games, we're getting lots of McCain or Maxey and Edgecombe minutes. Joel's doing his thing. Because you're not just missing Jared McCain, you're still missing Paul George and Watford, who they brought in as expected to start. What's the rotation? What's the starting lineup going to be like when all those guys are back? Because Barlow's played really well in his 2 games. Walker's played well. Justin Edwards, okay. But you're bringing in 3 guys that are going to need a lot of minutes. Where are those minutes going to come from? Who's going to sit the bench? Who's going to start in that scenario? How are they going to play that out, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, VJ certainly made a statement that he should not be going anywhere in the starting lineup, which has changed my calculation to an extent. I guess if I'm making my full prediction for this team at full strength, it would probably be Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Paul George, Trendon Watford, and Joel Embiid would be my prediction there. But we'll see with Watford. This is a guy who sort of has my spidey senses tingling for, could this be the weird Sixers injury of the season, that this is going to continue lingering on? But I like him as a talent, man. I think he checks a lot of boxes for what this Sixers team, in a similar way to what I'm speaking about with Joel Embiid as a playmaker and decision maker. He's capable of those same qualities, and he's a guy who can get a rebound, push the pace himself. And I think it's going to bring out the best of him actually being asked to play winning basketball in a way that wasn't really the case with the Brooklyn Nets and at any point of his NBA career at this stage just yet. So Watford may end up being a guy that, just because of the injury, does not quite get that chance. Barlow has made his case, or they could even go small and try and throw Grimes in the starting lineup, or start McCain in the 3-guard lineup. I think people have forgotten just how good Jared McCain was during the stretch that he was on the floor last year. So they have options, which is a really encouraging sign.
I think with Jared McCain, the key will be just staying healthy, right? Because, I mean, obviously he got hurt last year, ended that, got hurt this, off season. So why we haven't seen him yet. I hope we don't have to have the injury conversation too frequently with Jared McCain, because I do think, I know it would be a very small team, but I think you could see at times in games, depending on matchups, Maxey, McCain, and Edgecombe all on the court at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to go to the 3-guard lineup pretty regularly here. And with that in mind, like, you have to have sort of a Dominic Barlow archetype player who is all athleticism, all effort, going to control the glass like that. It's going to be interesting to see how these balance. And that's probably the biggest storyline that I'm watching for this entire season, of which of these combinations work. Does Quentin Grimes pair with Jared McCain? Is VJ Edgecombe and Maxey? I think we sort of have an answer already for how good that looks right there. But can they share the floor with McCain? How do all these sort of combinations work together? And who are the true foundational pieces? Because as excited as I am about each of these guys individually, I do think it's unlikely that all 4 of those guards are around for the long haul. I think Grimes is the pretty obvious guy on the outside looking in for the time being, but I like Quentin Grimes as well and give him credit for buying back in, committing to his role, and making an impact on this team. So there's going to be a lot of experimentation, and that's something that I think Nick Nurse should be excited about because he has been branded as sort of this basketball mad scientist and hasn't had the chance to put his fingerprints on this organization just yet. That's what we're going to be watching all year.
I think to me, the biggest thing that I was worried about coming into the season wasn't Joel Embiid, wasn't VJ Edgecombe, wasn't because I had no expectations. It was always Tyrese Maxey. And the reason why, and I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before, I said before he got hurt and out for the rest of the season last year, it looked like last year's season was frustrating Tyrese Maxey. It looked like he was losing that smile, not the spark to drive to the rim, the spark that led this team. And instantly this year, it feels like that spark is back. Instantly this year, it feels like, I don't want to say he wasn't committed last year, but his focus is different. Like Maxey has shown that last year was a blip on the radar, and he's taking that next step. Am I wrong in feeling that way? And then, glad to see it this way, or did you see it differently?
Yeah, no, I think he entered this season with a chip on his shoulder pretty clearly. And I think he's taken progress as both a leader and an actual on-court talent here. That I think there's a pretty likely world that at the conclusion of the season, we're talking about Tyrese Maxey qualifying for an all-NBA team. And I think he could have a top 15 season in all of basketball based on the opportunity. And he just sets the tone for this team. Like even little moments like last night, like Tyrese Maxey, we know for this fun-loving, good-natured guy. Desmond Bane tripping him up on the perimeter, Maxey immediately getting up and getting in his face there. Like that's something that sets the tone for the Sixers team. And I think they need that. Even in the offseason, flying out his younger teammates to work out in Texas there. He's bought in. He gets it. I think he was embarrassed individually by how last year looked, and he's ready to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I think Mista missed it. You can go over for Mista here what you think the starting lineup will be again. I know you mentioned a few minutes ago. But does Paul George, like we worry about reintegrating Joel Embiid, who's going to rebound with George on the floor. I'm more concerned about integrating Paul George back into this new rotation than I am Joel Embiid. So answer these questions here for Mr. here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my initial prediction has been Joel Embiid, Trendon Watford, Paul George, VJ Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey there with Grimes and McCain as sort of your bench guards for it here. I could see Watford ultimately end up being the odd man out, sort of how the season has played out with the injuries that have popped up in the short term here. And maybe they do elect to go small and get a little bit more of their younger talents on the floor there. As far as the Paul George question, I'm pretty optimistic that I think it's going to be a little bit of an easier transition this year where he's fitting into something rather than being asked to be the guy. And even as well as some of these guys like Dominic Barlow and Kelly Oubre Jr., who has not gotten enough love yet, like how well they've played to this start. I feel a little bit more confident if we're kicking out to a corner three and Paul George is the guy shooting it compared to some of these other options out there. So he may never be and likely will never be the max contract guy that he was signed to be. But I do see a world where he plays a pretty valuable role on this team. And he seems more open to being a true power forward in a way that he never has been at the duration of his career and been specifically against that concept.
Is Paul George going to turn into Tobias Harris? And I don't mean this how you probably think. Paul George, because Tobias Harris got hate because of the contract.
Yeah.
He never lived up to the contract, but he still played a very viable role on this team through his time here in Philly to an extent. He did his thing. He accepted his role. He accepted the hate. Maybe Paul George just has to accept that he's not the guy. He's getting paid to be the guy, but he's not the guy. And if he can accept that and accept the outside noise, he could be a vital part of this team.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the Tobias comparisons just because I think Paul George is better at like every single aspect of basketball.
Exactly. I'm not trying to compare the player itself, the roles they played after signing the max contract.
Yeah, I think that there's a case to be made there. Like Paul George is a 9-time All-Star. Tobias Harris has never qualified for an All-Star game in his career. Paul George is one of the more premier shooters really in this era of basketball from a efficiency and volume standpoint there. Like if his role is like a really expensive 3-and-D guy, it's not ideal from like a salary cap perspective, but that's still like a very valuable role for what the Sixers team needs, especially as like guard dependent as they currently are. So it may not be how you draw it up or how it is ideally, but I still see the fit. Like he bought in defensively last year and had some really nice flashes. He was bothered by injuries from start to finish last year. I think that he'll welcome having this level of talent around him, and he's at a stage of his career where he can kind of accept that to an extent.
Noom said another good comment. Noom's on fire with the comments. Probably relieved not to have to be the guy, right?
Yeah. No, I think that is true. I think that's part of the reason that he came to Philadelphia. And initially he was looked at as Joel Embiid to be the guy that he's running with. If it is these young guards, I don't think he's going to be too mad about that either.
Guys, we're talking with Sean Barnard here, guys. If you guys aren't already following him, which you shouldn't be, I put his link tree in the description of the video. Make sure you can find him at all the places there on his link tree, YouTube, Twitter, all the different social media accounts. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. Continue voting on the poll question. Real quick, I got to bring it up. It's like 4 or 5 days ago, but, and some of the social media talk on has died down. But obviously the NBA is facing some very serious scandals right now in the gambling aspect of things. Generally speaking, how do you feel about this? It's so obvious that this was going on, in my opinion, and that this was eventually going to become a big deal. Where are your thoughts on both the Chauncey Billups situation, but also what I think is the bigger situation, which is the Terry Rozier situation?
Yeah, unfortunately won't be the first time, and unfortunately won't be the last time for this popping up in these kind of issues. And this specific storyline, I think there's plenty more that is still to come out as far as the details and all the inner workings of what went down there. I think both are very big deals. The Chauncey Billups stuff, as far as being a head coach and involved in this stuff, there's the ties to obviously the poker games, as well as him leaking injury reports and all these kind of things. I think both these guys, it's pretty clear that their NBA future is completely done, that neither of these guys will ever see associated with the league in any way, shape, or form. I guess the positive side that I would point to is like the legalized gambling, I agree with, is way too in our face than should be the case here. But at the same time, like, this stuff has always happened, man, and it is now being caught at a larger rate and a more rapid rate because of the way that it is monitored and looked at like this. It blows my mind that these guys are really just dumb enough to get caught up in this. Like Terry Rozier, man, I get like the ESPN lead story of him getting $200,000 cash delivered to his house, and I get it. $200,000 is $200,000. That would change my life in a significant way right now.
We could split that and it would change both our lives.
Absolutely. But if you're Terry Rozier, you're getting paid $29 million to play basketball. I don't understand how you allow yourself to go down that path there. And I get it doesn't happen overnight. That there is the lead and then there's leverage. And all of a sudden, one thing leads to another and all these things. So I don't think it's the end of this story specifically. And I don't think it's the last time that we have it. It's a bummer. Like for me personally, I went after back-to-back games of the opening 2 nights of NBA basketball. We watched Victor Wembanyama score 40 points. Tyrese Maxey scored 40 points. Anthony Edwards be incredible. And all the headlines are about this stuff off the court here. So it's a bummer for me that this overshadows sort of the actual on-court product of the league. But it's sort of the times we live in to an extent.
But what do you think about Adam Silver and how he's handled it since it broke, but also before? Because this Terry Rozier news, we kind of this has been something that's been talked about and kind of being hidden away for a while. And I kind of look at this very similar. You're much younger than me, but the steroid drama, with baseball back in the day, everybody knew it was going on until it really blew up. Nothing was ever done about it. And then the commissioner was like, oh, well, and I kind of feel that Adam Silver has gone down that same path where he ignored it as long as he could. And instead of, his response of how appalled I am with it.
Yeah.
Like, you knew what was going on. Why didn't you do anything about it before it got plastered on every news media, not just sports sites?
Yeah. And there's this, like, obviously gambling has been like this taboo conversation for the better part of really sports history here. And I'm a DraftKings network employee that I work for DraftKings, get right for them on a everyday basis, essentially, that I benefit from this from my career standpoint. And I personally felt the effects of, like, it has become a little bit more difficult to get credentialed because there's a gambling tie to my name there. And I kind of feel like, well, you guys have logos on the floor. You guys have it on all this kind of thing. It's showing up on the broadcast for this. I agree, like, it's too much in our face. But at the end of the day, that's what is sort of funding this to an extent. For the critiques from NBA players about, like, it's horrible for us. There's a reason why your contracts are as high as they are and all these. So there is this give and take with all of it. For Silver specifically, the Rozier stuff is really interesting, and he's being called upon to testify in Congress, and I'm really curious what this is. You can watch those Terry Rozier highlights that certainly do not paint him in highlight for the stretch there. I give Silver a little bit of credit, or I guess benefit of the doubt is a better way to put it. He mentioned, like, when the government gets involved and FBI gets involved, that they can subpoena people and, wiretap and do things that the NBA just can't with this, that he said that Rozier, cooperated as well as he could. They viewed his phone, all this, and couldn't find, like, the smoking gun or whatever the case may be. But Silver's definitely a guy that's going to be under the microscope for this. And if he does more know than he has made publicly, I do think that is a huge issue for the league and something that he'll be paying the price for.
You mentioned how, like, you're employed by DraftKings Network and stuff like that. And everyone talks about the in-your-face aspect of it. And I'm like, well, NBA is a business. Like you said, they're getting paid. That's how they pay these contracts, everything else. I would think in a grand, in an open-minded way, it would be dumb for the NBA, the NFL, the MLB not to take those advertising dollars and stuff like that. But what kind of changes? Because they're not going to outlaw gambling. They're not going to outlaw when it first broke. And I don't know if you're a poker guy. I used to play a lot of poker professionally, and I remember Black Friday. I don't know if you know what Poker Black Friday is. It was a similar scandal where there was a lot of cheating and a lot of stealing going on. And then a month later, online poker was outlawed, in the United States. And I don't think the government will go to that lengths with gambling and stuff like that because of the money involved. But there has to be some kind of change. And how do they make that change?
Yeah, I think the player prop departments is what's catching the heat right now, and sort of rightfully so. Like, I think that it makes a lot of sense to me to just kind of tighten up a little how many player props are specifically offered. Like the Jonte Porter situation is the example I'll lean on here. Like, who in their right mind is betting on Jonte Porter, who's on a 2-way contract for the Toronto Raptors that I guarantee most people didn't even know was in the NBA? When you're getting massive wagers on a guy like that's under, like, that should raise red flags, and it did. And obviously they caught everything that went on there. He'll never play in the league, and I believe is serving jail time right now for that situation. So I think kind of narrowing down the selection that there you can bet on literally anything these days. Like, you can find a market for whatever you want. But to that same point, like, sort of the point of this becoming legalized is that it is on the table and in front of us. That the only thing that's really going to happen with that is that then pushes it back offshore for the people that want to do these things. I still think that's the direction that the NBA should go, because I don't want to say it's like out of sight, out of mind, but you're sort of covering your bases in a way that I don't think is not. So the player prop sort of market is what I think is probably where we'll start to feel these effects.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just a shame that it's at this point.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much. Obviously, the Tim Donaghy referee situation, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever get to catch the documentary that Netflix did on him? I mean, he literally said it, and they had mafia people in it literally say, "Look, this is still going on."
Oh yeah,
and that's why
Scott Foster had like so many phone calls the same way. He's still actively refereeing in the NBA.
And that's why I kind of go back to the steroid scandals with baseball. That they know it's going on, and they've done absolutely nothing about it. And I know you want to give Adam Silver the benefit of the doubt, but he's in charge of the league, right? So I kind of feel like unless something crazy comes out here, that he's going to have to be the one that takes the fall here.
Yeah, I think that's possible, and I'm really curious what what is actually brought up in Congress, and what did Adam Silver know that has not been made publicly. And like, again, I am definitely giving him the benefit of the doubt here, maybe more than he deserves, but it's not really his responsibility to put everything on the table to the public. There is some logic to some of what he knows, like, does not have to get out there, that he can have conversations with Terry Rozier behind closed walls that stay behind closed doors there. So we'll see what ultimately comes out with this. You're right that he is going to be, like, if there is some significant negligence that went on from him, or direct, like, working in something that should not be happening here, that he will be the fall guy for it. But you're kind of right about it being a business, that at the same time, this is a cash cow that he couldn't exactly turn away for what this league has turned into. So we'll see what ultimately comes of it. Things are going to happen, unfortunately. I'm not sure. So I don't think Silver is specifically at fault at this current point, but my mind could change on that depending on what comes out when these hearings do happen.
All right, guys, this is Sean Barnard. Obviously, you work for like 6,000 different networks at this point. What do you got going on this week? Where can everybody find you this week? And, DK Sports Network, Crossing Broad, Fox the Gambler, literally the list of sites, and obviously Pick Swap, your channel. What do you got on tap this week?
Yeah, still be cranking away for DK Network there. I'll have a cool piece coming out on VJ Edgecombe probably tomorrow. I'm going to wait for tonight's game to filter in to get all the stats up to date as well, but I've been working on that for Crossing Broad, so that'll be popping out. That video is coming out on Sixers and Phillies Digest on a pretty much daily basis there. I'll be live 11 to 1 on Fox Sports The Gambler on Saturday, and then Pick Swap Media back up and cruising again. So we're hitting the ground running with that. I'll be live at 5 o'clock tonight with my guy Sam Ostry talking all things NBA.
Awesome stuff. Muchas gracias. Thank you for your time this morning, Sean. And we'll have to do this again soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me, Phil. And it's good to have a little excitement about the Sixers again.
Yeah, it's good. Again, word of the day. You can use it on your shows. It's a rejuvenated time here in Philadelphia.
I like
but
it.
not just the Sixers, the Eagles, every Flyers, Union. We're rejuvenated in this city.
Yeah, vibes are high. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks very much, Sean, for your time. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You too, Phil.
Thanks. All right, that was Sean Barnard right there on the I Have No Sponsor. Let's reset real quick. Hit that like button. Hit that share button, that subscribe button. I missed a lot of your comments. I was trying to read them, trying to star them, but always great content when we have Sean Barnard on the show. So much appreciated. I'm sure I'll have that clipped out later today if you guys want to rewatch just the Sean Barnard part. But obviously, lots of great information. We're sitting at 20 likes, still $7.99 on the subscribers. We do have 25 votes on the poll question of the day. Yes, 68% of you say it's okay to open your heart one more time. No, 20%. You're close is 12%. Mr. Thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. What would Sixers record need to be from the consider parting with an asset to put them over the top? I wish I would have had that question a little early in their conversation with Sean, but I think it's I think that's a very interesting question. I think it's a very, very interesting question. I don't know if I know what the answer is. They still got some draft picks that they could trade. And what assets are they going to trade outside of draft picks? I don't know. Life in prison for shaving points or 5 years in a Guantanamo prison. It's your choice. That will end the cheating. Oh, man. Maybe. Evans, Sean Barnard, FNA. Yeah. Dude, Sean Barnard's one of my favorites. Now, and stay tuned because tomorrow we got another one of my favorites, Chris Franklin, joining us to talk Eagles. We're going to have another great guest on tomorrow. I like my kneecaps. Thanks. Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, great content there. Great conversation with him. And definitely reason to be bought in. Definitely reason to be confident, okay, in this Sixers team. But also plenty of reason to be open-minded and temper those expectations. Yeah, I know. I start talking football, so you just disappear. Yeah, Sean and Blanche, I'm gonna have to link them two up. Wilford Brimley's gonna get left on the curb for Sean Barnard by Blanche. Anyway, we can bring this back, Eagles, into the conversation. AK, I saw your comment here earlier that you'll have to start watching the Sixers. And the Bulls are the other. There's 4 undefeated teams in the NBA right now, and the Sixers and the Bulls are 2 of them. Would never have expected that. At this point, even though it's only 3-4 games into the season, would never, ever, ever have expected that. So, yeah, but the word of the day today is rejuvenated. The Sixers have rejuvenated us. I don't know about buying in or confidence yet. Look, and I said this, Big Al, at the start of the show. It's not buying in or confidence that they're going to be a great team or have expectations for the playoffs. It's just open your heart to enjoy it. I literally watched the entirety of last night's Sixers game just because it was fun to watch, just because it was fun basketball. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about buying in or I'm not saying second round playoffs are bust or finals are bust or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about enjoying basketball again. Last year, it was a chore. It was worse than a chore to watch Sixers basketball. This year is different. It must be high because we haven't seen him today. No, I know. It's only 3 games. Exactly. But it is time to get excited. Always time to get excited. Maybe. Is it K1? Because the 3 Sixers games this year I've watched, all 3 of them, were very watchable. But I haven't watched any other NBA this year. Listen, bro, I'm not buying my Bulls just because I'm undefeated. I know where this ship goes. Yeah, look. And that's where Sixers fans are. And that's why I'm asking the question. Like, I haven't watched Bulls, so I didn't even know they were undefeated until I looked at the standings this morning. All right, I had no clue. I don't even know. I can name one Bulls player, Vucevic, and that's it. I think he's still on the Bulls. Or maybe he's not. Maybe I can't name any of them. But the way the Sixers have played opens the door to something, okay? Play the damn song. Yeah, exactly. What be trending? I got some other topics, not directly that I want to talk, not directly Eagles or Sixers I want to talk about. I do want to throw Carson Wentz into the conversation today. A little bit. So if we want a football topic, Sixers fans do remember, that's true. And he was Rookie of the Year, and I get that. And it's why it's very cautious on everything. And I think Michael Carter-Williams was just bad timing here because then the process started. He got hurt, things like that. There are things that played. And Michael Carter-Williams, I think, had some mental issues too. Didn't he do a big article about his mental well-being later in his career? I think he had some personal demons he was dealing with as well. Ace dropping 40 last night on the Sixers. Who? I'm pretty sure Ace Bailey does not play for the Magic. And no, he did not drop 40 on the Sixers last night. Pump man. VJ Edgecombe is having a much better start to his career. Carson Wentz, by the way, I want to throw Carson Wentz in the conversation. Carson Wentz is having season-ending surgery because of a torn rotator cuff, a bunch of injuries. But in the London game, before the Eagles game, he got a dislocation, tore his labrum, fractured his shoulder socket, and toughed it out, okay? And played 2.5 games of football with all those injuries. And after the Eagles game, after the Thursday Night Football game this past week, when I said that Carson Wentz was a warrior, I got crushed on social media. People calling him a bum. Now it comes out that Carson Wentz was playing through all these injuries. What happens in Minnesota for a coach putting a player in a position with that kind of an injury and not forcing him to play, but telling him to play? It's kind of crazy, the situation that's unfolding in Minnesota. And I would love to know what people think if the coach should be held liable for putting him in that position. Phil, we had a top pick almost get assassinated by a peanut. We did. I don't know why I want to laugh at that, man, because it's not funny, right? But it's so funny at the same time. Like, it's crazy. He was hurting after this. He's been hurting for 2.5 weeks, and he's still playing. And, well, he's not anymore. He's having season-ending surgery. But, man, warrior toughness. He might not have it up here anymore. He never had it up here, maybe. The leadership was never there. But the guy could play. And maybe he forced himself to play, trying to get another contract, another opportunity. JJ stinks. And I think this might be part of it. Lakers gambling might run deep. Yeah. I mean, LeBron's name's been mentioned, not directly, but mentioned. They don't have confidence. It could be McCarthy. Maybe it was because of the offensive line, not wanting to get McCarthy hurt. They obviously had an undrafted rookie as their backup in the last 2 games. They had obviously no confidence in him, playing him while Carson Wentz was hurt. So why is he on the roster to begin with? I think it was both. He was toughing it out. He was playing like a warrior as a last-ditch effort to save his career. I think there's a lot to it. And I think the Vikings should be questioned on playing him when he was. I mean, we're not talking about a shoulder sprain on your non-throw. We're talking about a torn labrum, a broken socket. We're talking like major, major injuries here. It was a pleasure meeting you yesterday, Robert. Pleasure. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't have much confidence in McCarty. Yeah. Atheist here, but God bless Tyrese Maxey. Love the way you phrased that comment, Brian. But I'm glad Sean, I'm glad other people say it, that Tyrese Maxey looked like he was getting frustrated last year, looked like he was losing that spark last year. And it didn't stop him from getting healthy and getting back in the right mindset this year. And he looks like a fresh player, a new player, a better player this year. And I love the fact that they're having him play off the ball more with VJ Edgecombe running the offense. I think that's a big thing. Tyrese Maxey always should have been just running around, catching and doing his thing. But they always had to run the offense through him. Now you can run the offense through other people. He's not the only ball handler on this team. In all honesty, I just wanted Wentz to succeed in Minnesota because I feel bad for him. Great talent, but sad story. One thing I'll never question is Wentz's toughness. I mean, he scored a touchdown, threw a touchdown on a torn ACL. Tough SOB. You think Wentz will retire? I don't know. I mean, I thought he would have retired by now. He's got the money, I'm assuming. Maybe. I don't know. He won't be playing again this year. I know that. McCarthy, not McCarty. Is there a difference? Nooms, is there a difference? I mean, it's basically the same thing. If the medical staff told O'Connell and Wentz it was a pain management issue and Wentz said he could play, then it was Wentz's decision. But how many times on this show with different athletes, different injuries, I talked about it, before the season started with not Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson. Sometimes players have to be protected from themselves. And that's one of the biggest jobs of a coach and a coaching staff and a health staff. Protect the players from themselves. A torn labrum and a fractured socket in your shoulder. I mean, that's a pretty serious injury. Yeah, maybe it can't get worse. It's a pain management. We're talking some pretty intense pain. And Carson Wentz was only toughing it out because his career's on the line. I love the Sixers don't want Embiid or Paul George to come back. They will only slow the offense down with all the damn dribbling. Good morning. Go Sixers. What's up, Dante? How you doing this morning? Look, I get it, but they are coming back. And they will be back. Joel Embiid will be back tonight. And Paul George, I mean, by the end of this week, beginning of next week, we'll be back out on the court. Wentz probably has a net worth of $50 million, so probably a little bit more than that. I mean, his one big contract in Philly was $140, I believe. Diabetes, there we go. We thought you might have been struggling there this morning, Wilford. We hadn't seen you yet this morning. Remember when RG3 deliberately concealed his knee injury from Mike Shannon in the playoff game? It happens. It does. They knew that Carson Wentz had these injuries, though. I mean, did you see the brace he was wearing on Thursday night? It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was like $140 million, his big max contract that he signed. He also had his first-round rookie contract, which paid him really well. I bet you Carson Wentz is pushing $200 million in NFL earnings in his career so far. Doesn't mean that's what his net worth is. You know, he doesn't walk away with all that money with all the fees they got to pay and all, but that's that. I just wanted to throw that out there about Carson Wentz because I think it's really interesting how it's played out, how it is playing out, and all that with Carson Wentz. Because look, you got to protect the players from themselves. Players are always going to say that they can, as long as they're not going to get hurt worse, they're always going to say they can play. If Jalen Hurts had that injury, you think Jalen Hurts is playing through it? No. The Eagles will protect him. Government takes a lot. Agents, managers. There's a lot of people with hands in the cookie jar when it comes to athlete contracts. Bookies that you got to pay back. I don't know. Just making that up. But anyway, all right, we're what is it? 9:11 in the morning. We're at 22 likes, 27 votes on the poll. No new subscribers. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, share. How we hit 800 yesterday and lost that 800, I don't know. It happens. We're talking Eagles. We're talking Sixers. We're talking rejuvenation and how rejuvenated we feel. And I'm going to go back to the Eagles here for a second. All right? Stat I saw. Where is it? There it is. Through the last 4 weeks of the NFL season, the number one wide receiver in football is Jamar Chase with 456 receiving yards. Number two in the NFL over the last 4 weeks receiving yards, Devontae Smith, 430 yards. But Jamar Chase took 64 targets to get 456. Devontae Smith only had 35 targets to get 430 yards. Those stats are from Brendan Deeg. Maybe I'll hit up Brendan Deeg to come on. We haven't had him on in a long time. Devontae Smith arguably becoming at the same level. Maybe he's better than A.J. Brown. Just throwing it out there. Thoughts on that? Yeah. Hurts would play if he could handle the pain. I don't know. I think the team would protect their investment in Hurts and not let him play in that. We always are talking diabetes. Hurts definitely the smartest at knowing when and when not to take hits. He is, absolutely. I would have no choice but to make pizzas with one arm because that's just the life of a business owner. Panthers got slapped. Who cares about the Panthers? Testing supplies. What? Smitty does monitors. That's why he could play so well. Devontae Smith is also one of the most well-dressed football players one of the most well-dressed athletes, period, out there. I haven't seen Mark. Yeah, he's in the chat occasionally. Philly fan or whatever his name is. I forget how he does it, but I see it all the time. Liberty Medical. There you go. What? Phil, what? Hurts has already beaten concussion test twice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, twice this year, I think. I'm not gonna disagree with you on that at all. I'm not disagreeing with you at all on that because I think you're, again, shouldn't be that way, right? Eagles don't even have to worry about what, injuries, anything. I mean, the Eagles are coasting to the division, but we want more than just the division title. reality check. We want more than that. We want to return to the Super Bowl. We want to continue to be the best team in football. And there's still work to do. Mark with a C, Mark Moscatelli, same person. Same person. There's been 3 requests for Mark Moscatelli today. I'm going to text Mark Moscatelli right now while we're live on the air. Okay? I'm going to text him because I just texted him the other day. So here we go. 3 requests to see Mark with a C back in the morning today. All right, with a little thinking emoji. There we go. Text message to Mark sent. Phil, you need to talk to Sean about EQ levels. His is elite. I'm never going to be elite in anything I do, K1. You're never, ever going to have to stop criticizing me for my lack of eliteness in anything I do. But you still continue to come back, K1, so I must be doing something right. Look, Sean Barnard's a young stud. I forgot to congratulate him. I don't know if you guys know, he got engaged, this fall. So forgot to bring that up. Why YouTube being dumb? Why is YouTube dumb? I mean, we have great viewership. We're up to 23 likes. We just haven't gotten the subscribers. That's all. Better EQ levels, push you over 800. Maybe they would. But my current EQ levels are what got me to this point so far. How about we look at it that way? Okay. Why change what isn't broken? I'm also, the only thing I do elite is make food, make pizza. That's my only elite trait in life, just so you know. Barkley did go off this weekend, and he hurt his groin in the process because there was so much scar tissue from him not running effectively this year. Hunt is making lots of plays. Hunt was all over the field as well. I kind of feel like I'm worried that Howie Roseman's going to not think that edge is an issue because Hunt played so well the last 2 weeks, because Brandon Graham will be back, because Nolan Smith will be back. Yeah, Sean makes eye contact because he's not reading. Like, unless you want to buy me a monitor to put comments up here next to the camera, there's never going to be eye contact from me, okay? Never. Never going to be eye contact consistently when the comments are down here. Well, now I can't read the comments. Now you're just going to get me talking. And now I'm going to ignore the entire comment section while I talk. Stop. Hurts 2024, first 7 games, 18, 9, 8, 87. 2025, 16, 77, 15, 1. Yeah, look, Jalen Hurts is on pace to have his best season of his career. Not most yards, but most touchdowns, highest completion percentage, highest quarterback rating. Jalen Hurts is performing at an MVP level. I don't want to talk Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, the usual suspects. Jalen Hurts is like 7th right now, or 8th in MVP odds. It's not good enough. Not good enough. You're done making moves. What? Just stay healthy till the playoffs. The Eagles will make moves. Why is he staring so hard at me? I just got here. Exactly. Would be creepy if I was just like, look this the whole time. Right, Chandler? Oh, I'm always hiding something. I'm hiding a lot. That's my life. 24 likes. It's a good show today. Thank you. Yeah, you don't want eye contact with me. Exactly. It's kind of weird that they do. Okay. Thank you, Robert. See you guys. See you tomorrow in the chat. Oh my God, I have secrets. My secrets have secrets. Hurts not winning no MVP. Why? What is he doing that's not MVP level? 15 touchdowns passed. Was it 6 rushing? He's on pace for 40 total touchdowns. On pace for like 4 turnovers. Over 3,600 yards on pace for passing. A 70% completion percentage. 114 quarterback rating. I did forget Danny Jones' name there. My apologies. Mahomes goes off versus the Raiders and jumps 6 spots. While Hurts does better versus Vikings and Giants, it's just what he should be. Exactly. Double standards. Just go get Tyreek Woolen. What's up, Brando? How you doing? Make sure you like, you subscribe, you share. Look, I think I still am looking as edge as my top priority. Definitely. Cornerback's a priority. Tight end, too, might be a priority. I really think, if somebody asked before, what would the Sixers have to do, or how good would they have to be for them to make a major trade at the deadline and part with an asset? Well, I think what the Eagles have done, they've done enough where they have to part with a major asset to fix at least one of the glaring holes on this team. And there still are holes on this team, despite being 6-2, despite Jalen Hurts being an MVP. So they got to go get somebody to improve the defense. Yeah, I was never told I love your eyes. Look, with the bags that are constantly under my eyes, it's like scars. My bags will never go away. League doesn't like the Eagles, so Hurts will not win the MVP. And yeah, exactly. Agree with that, Duck. I do. Hurts is very good, but not lights out. Stop. Stop with your nonsense. Giants? Yeah, I mean, I said that. It's a conspiracy. It's all a conspiracy. It's all one big conspiracy. Long shot, $5 on Tyrese. What were the odds on that, Chandler? They had to be solid odds. I'm going to guess you're going to say like 60-1, maybe 60-1. But I don't hate it. If Hurts didn't win MVP or wear green, where it would be MVP. I don't disagree with that, Chandler. I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's a very, very viable comment right there from you. MVP Maxey was 30-1. All right. Obviously, I'm guessing it was probably better. Like, the odds were probably higher than that before the season started, but or more of a long shot. But now with where he's played or how he's played, yeah. I mean, I think it's still good value there. I don't think he'll win the MVP, but it's a fun little bet. Hurts would win MVP if he wore Kelly Green every game. I mean, they are what? Is it 5-0 K1 or 6-0? Now in Kelly Green, 5-0, I think, right? We got two more. We went 2-2 the first 2 years of Kelly Green, and now we got 3 this year. Bills crushed Panthers, but don't mean Allen did it all. It was James Cook won me my fantasy league this week. 5-0, right? Yeah, I thought I was going to say 5-0, but I'm like, was there a 6th game that I'm missing? No, the 3rd game was this year. So this is what I'm doing. I'm giving the Browns a 3rd and Ringo for Ward, and I'm going to Tennessee and giving them one of our seconds. We only have 1 second that I'm aware of, and a 5th for Jeffrey Simmons, but doubt they answer. We have 1 first, 1 second, and 2 thirds the last I looked. I am not parting with that 1 second round pick. If there's a second round pick and I misread it, then sure, I'd part with one. But I'm not trading our 1st or 2nd round pick because we need them. The 3rd and Ringo, let me ask you this. Okay, AK, what makes you think the Browns want Keely Ringo? What value do you think Keely Ringo actually brings to the equation? Like, I think a 7th round pick, a 3rd and a 7th, brings more value in the trade than that. Keely Ringo's been bad. I don't either, but if his odds go up, I can cash it out for a little. That's true. That's true. It's the best show in the morning that everybody should be watching. Blue Jays pitcher, eyes like David Bowie. Really? Who? I don't know. I swear we had 2 seconds and 2 thirds. I thought we only have 1 the last I looked. But I could be wrong too, AK. Google it real quick. Keely is worthless then. Yeah, exactly. It's not about Keely. It's about getting rid of Ward's contract and just getting someone in return. You're just throwing Ringo in there to get rid of them as a kicker. That's all that is. Yeah, I mean, they might want the 7th round pick from, honestly. But again, I don't mind trading one of those 2 3rd round picks, preferably the lesser of the 2, for Ward. There's plenty of cornerbacks out there that you can go get. Adoree Jackson is not it. Keely Ringo is not it. Jacorian Bennett probably isn't it. Yeah. First James Bond movie again. Dr. No is the first James Bond movie. Clayton Kershaw finally delivered in a moment. He got 1 out last night. Yeah. It's about time he made a play in the postseason or pitched well in the postseason, right? That might be the last time we ever see Clayton Kershaw on a baseball mound. I already thought that was over with, but, good for him. Getting in a World Series. Clayton Kershaw is another one of those guys that should be a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer and won't be a unanimous because there'll be some agenda somewhere by some reporter that won't put him in. LaShawn McCoy's on the MVP ballot this year for the first time. Is LaShawn McCoy, former Eagle, Bill, a Hall of Famer? I don't know if he is. I think he eventually gets in, but I don't know if he I don't know. When I think of LaShawn McCoy, I think of great Eagle, great Bill, but I don't know if I think of Hall of Famer when I think about him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I would have said give him Jackson, but can't trade injured players, so that's out of the equation. Look, I get it. Sometimes, though, a team like the Browns won't want the player because they want their own young guys to get the opportunity, if that makes sense. Shady's absolutely an Eagles Hall of Famer, but is he an NFL Hall of Famer? I hate the Dodgers, but pulling for them because it's not a Canadian team. America first to me in sports. Yeah, I mean, I'm not pulling for Toronto because of 1993, Chandler. But on the flip side, it would also the Dodgers knocked us out, so it's hard twice. Yeah, so I don't know. It's a tough one. Phil, I said back then they didn't want me. What? Who didn't want you? I don't know what you're saying now. You're in one of your rambling modes with some of your comments right now. I'm not sure what you're getting at right now. But yeah. Shady stats, yes, but will he have enough voter support? I don't think so unless we push for it. Yeah, I would have to sit there and look at his stats compared to other Hall of Fame running backs. But I think, yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Shady has to wait behind Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore. Absolutely. Agree with that. McCoy won't get a vote from Chip Kelly. No, he won't. He won't. Mike Jones, what about Mike Jones? Though Shady is not an NFL Hall of Famer, neither is McNabb. I think McNabb's in McNabb's in the Jimmy Rollins conversation. So close to being Hall of Famer. Probably should get in, but's not getting in. Americans. What's up, Marshawn? Late to the show. Final 4 minutes is better than no minutes in the chat. Wu-Tang Clan. What about the Wu-Tang? Shady's got 2 Super Bowls. Yes, but he didn't play in neither one. That's fair. That's fair. Did not play in his Super Bowls. Yeah. But anyway, we're coming up to the final couple minutes. What do we got on tap? Again, tomorrow. Thanks to Sean Barnard for coming on today. As always, phenomenal conversation with Sean. I got to do a better job of getting him on more frequently than once a year. And tomorrow, I think Shady gets in for sure. Not first ballot, in my opinion. 2-time Super Bowl champion in stats. But tomorrow we got the great Chris Franklin from NJ.com. We'll continue our Eagles conversation with Chris Franklin. So bring the questions for Chris for tomorrow. I would greatly appreciate that. McNabb is 1 Super Bowl away from getting in the Hall of Fame. Let's go get Myles Garrett somehow. Call him up and offer him. A third and Keely Ringo gets the job done. Sorry, AK, I had to make the joke. They ain't nothing to F with. The Wu-Tang Clan? No. It was all spelled out in the 36 Chambers album. What? Is Fire Brian Kelly related to Chip? No. Brian Kelly and Chip Kelly are not related, to my knowledge. But yeah. It was another great show. Lots of viewers tuned in. Lots of people. This has been a blast today, as always. Thank you very much, AK. Like I said, we got Chris Franklin coming on tomorrow. Oh, let's see here. Did Mark text me back? Mark says he's got some PTO coming up. Y'all asked for Mark Moscatelli. He just said 3 requests was enough for him to use some of his PTO to come on the show. He literally wants to use his PTO to come on the morning show for you guys. Man, you might get a Mark Moscatelli appearance coming up soon. Stay tuned. Chip Kelly era was so bad. Still hurt. My God, yeah. I still remember I was on a cruise ship on vacation, and it's when they announced that Chip Kelly was coming to Philly, and I just sat there like, really? 25 likes. Not a bad. No new subscribers, but 25 likes is a good number. That helps the algo a lot. At least you have Lane Johnson. That is true. That is true. And Stoutland. Wasn't Stoutland part of that era too? Didn't Stoutland come here under Chip Kelly as well? So there's that. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow. More Eagles talk, more Sixers talk, because obviously the Sixers play tonight. Lots going on there. Why do you think the Phillies are on the come up? That team is getting old. I didn't say they're on the come up. I've never said anything good about the Phillies lately. Hey, if you get time this week, would love to do a show. Let me know. I will. We'll see. I got a busy week this week at the pizza shop, but yeah, the Hurricane Melissa. Yes, my wife is destroying Jamaica right now. Yes. Thoughts and positive vibes for everybody in the path of Hurricane Melissa. I deal with Hurricane Melissa every day. Take care. Have a good day, Chandler. You as well. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Chris Franklin, more Eagles talk, more Phillies or more Philadelphia 76ers talk. Guys, everybody have a great day. As always, like, share, subscribe. Go Birds. Bubbles up.